brought you the news. Printed the info, we gave you the clues. Owners' profits were always sky high. Changing market now threatens our lives. Post-literation, critical reading, dumbed down nation, signs have been breeding. TV sucking ideas from our head. Public discourse just about dead. We'll ride the dinosaur. Yeah, ride the dinosaur.
Hey everybody, welcome to Navel Gazing. My name is Eugene Driscoll. Follow me, us, or whatever at Valley Indy on Twitter or on Facebook.com, Valley Independent Sentinel. Making his second appearance in I think a week or two on the podcast is Seymour First Selectman Kurt Miller. Welcome back, Mr. Miller.
Always a pleasure to be here, especially this many times in such a short period. I feel honored.
Yeah, well, it's a mistake. I meant to cover your nomination last night to run for another term as Seymour's top elected official. In addition to, there is a new slate of candidates, or a fresh, I don't even know how to describe it. But I missed it. I didn't go to the nominating convention last night. My wife worked late. I got stuck at home. But I still want to talk to you, if you're willing, about who's running and why you're running and all that good stuff.
Yeah, sounds good. I'd love to kind of go over what happened last night. Seymour, fortunately for us, for the Republicans, was very quiet. We kind of went through, took care of our business. We had a slate of candidates. A lot of people from the team have decided to come back, which is great because, I've always said this has been a team effort that's allowed us to do a lot of the positive things that we've done in Seymour. So I'm very excited that just about everybody will be coming back.
Okay. And Kurt, when were you first elected?
2011.
2011.
First time I was elected. Well, first time I was elected as first selectman.
As first selectman, yeah, 2011. Yeah. It's a 2-year term. What term are you running for now?
This will be my fifth.
Fifth, did you say, as in 5?
Fifth, yes, 5.
Gotcha. Okay. And you said in the past you're going to self-impose a term limit. Is this your last term, do you believe?
I do believe that this will be my last term. I mean, there could be some extenuating circumstances that I might do one more, but that would be a very small percentage that would happen.
And why are you running again? That's an awful question. I'm sorry, but it's all I got in my head right now.
No, that's certainly not a problem. We've changed the culture in Seymour. We've changed the way that the way we do business in Seymour. We've strengthened our finances, all the things that you and I have talked about, many times. There's just some things that I want to make sure are fully solidified, some projects and things I want to get across the goal line to get done, so I can leave my time, or I can finish my time as first selectman, knowing that we accomplished pretty much everything that we had set out to do. So I think over the next 2 years we should be able to do that, and then I can hand off to the next person, a town that is in, great financial shape, and ready to continue to move forward in the future.
And if you had to name, or actually I'm going to ask you to name, it's Friday. See, I can't. I'm not good at the speaking on Fridays. I apologize. But what's your top priority, your top goal if you're reelected? What's going to happen in the next 2 years? Name one thing.
Well, actually, I'll name 3 things, which, 3 questions we expect to have on the ballot in November.
Okay.
That's going to be finishing up the $5 million worth of roads, taking care of the communication system for our first responders, which is extremely important. But I think the biggest and most important thing of that is the new community center that I would like to see approved by the residents and then built prior to me leaving office. So that would probably be the biggest thing.
And anybody who's listening, you can go back to our previous episode, the last episode of Navel Gazing with Mr. Miller, and we talk extensively, or he talks extensively about those projects. Since we last talked, you had a Board of Selectmen meeting. Was there any movement on those 3 items at this point? Did it come up for discussion at the Selectmen level?
The last meeting was just a few days ago. We discussed the roads and we went into executive session with our 4 service chiefs, and we talked exclusively about the communications. The roads discussion was extremely positive. The Selectmen, kind of digested the information, a great report given by our town engineer, Brian Nesteriak. What we did was we put a question actually out on social media, which I believe you've shared.
I saw that, yeah.
To people. So we're trying to, we put the list out. This is what our expectations are for this $5 million, but please give us your feedback. We put that out last night. When I checked this morning, we were over 80 comments.
Wow.
So we're going to go out and we're going to spend the next 2.5 weeks, the Selectmen are, going and taking a look at some of these roads, comparing to what we have on the list. But our expectation is our first meeting in August, we'll make a final decision on these are the roads we're going to use the $5 million for, and then create the question. That question will go on the ballot in November. I can't really talk too much about the communication part of it. We did that in executive session. Obviously, we don't want anyone to kind of know our communications, how we do things, obviously for the safety of our residents. But it's safe to say the Selectmen were very much on board with the recommendations of our service chiefs, and I expect we'll be voting on that question as well at the second meeting in August.
Hey, just curious. So you went into executive session on the security exception, which is allowed under the state open meeting law. But did you run it by an attorney by any chance? Because it sounds a little questionable. But
yeah.
I'm wondering. Oh, you ran it by Mr. Peturla?
Yeah, we had Rich review that, said that it was okay to go into executive session, and we also, Rich stayed in executive session with us to make sure that the conversation didn't veer off into something that shouldn't have been in executive session. So he was very good to keep us kind of in line with the law to make sure that we were doing what we should be doing. And there was, 1 or 2 points where he said, no, you guys really should discuss that outside of executive session in the public session.
Gotcha.
So,
that's good to hear. And then turning back to the GOP candidates for office, do you have a list in front of you? Can we go through the people who are running?
I actually do. I pulled the list up in preparation of our call.
And then let me just, before you get into that list, I want to note that the Democrats, the Democratic Party of the town of Seymour, will be holding their caucus and nominate candidates on July 22nd, 7 p.m., the Bingo Room at the Seymour Community Center, 20 Pine Street. So that is
Correct.
Also happening. All right, so you want to go through the Board of Selectmen first?
Sure. Actually, all 4 of the Selectmen will be returning. So that's Trish Danka, Al Bruno, Bob Finley, and then Anne Marie Dragonis, who was the Deputy First Selectman. So all 4 of them will be coming back. The 5 of us, I think, work very well together. The 4 of them challenged me on a lot of issues. They ask a lot of questions. I know people think that they just approve everything that I do, but that is far from the case. We have some very lively discussions on a lot of topics, and I think that helps shape kind of the direction that the town has gone. So I'm very appreciative of the hard work and effort that these 4 put in. Bob is our newest member. He's only been with us for about 6 months, 7 months now. But Bob has done a fantastic job for us, from strategic planning recommendations that he's made.
And who's Bob again? I'm sorry. What's his name?
Bob Finley.
Okay, Bob Finley. Gotcha.
Yeah, he's an engineer, so he has that background. So he's kind of rounded out the board very nicely, and we try to have people with diverse backgrounds, and Bob certainly fits into our group very, very well. So,
okay, what's next on the list there?
Board of Education. We have Jay Hatfield, who will be returning to the board, and then this will be Jay's 3rd term, I believe. And Beth Nesteriak, who is brand new. Beth is an executive at the Regional Water Authority, engineer, so she's very well educated. She has executive background, which is good. I always tease Beth that her job is so important. Her job title has a comma in it. So, we were able to get to Beth to come on board. I think that's a win for the town of Seymour, having her being involved at that level.
Okay. That's two candidates.
Board of Police Commissioners.
Oh, there's two. Okay,
There's
I'm
two,
sorry.
yeah.
I was waiting for more. And is anyone not running for re-election who was a Republican on the Seymour BOE or?
Jen Magri, our current chairperson. Jen has decided after 8 years that she's going to step down and.
Oh wow! That's news in and of itself.
She wants to take a little break, spend some time with her husband Bob. Her son, her youngest child Josh, is leaving for college. So I think Jen wants to just enjoy a little of the empty nest life, for a little bit of time, take a break. It's not easy being the chair of the Board of Education.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like an easy position, and
no, not at all. And yeah, I mean, Jen's a very busy woman as it is professionally. So adding that on, it's kind of like having two full-time jobs. Unfortunately, one you don't get paid for. So she wanted to just take a break for 2 years or so, and kind of clear her head a little bit, and then hopefully we'll see Jen back in 2 years, because she was certainly a very valuable member of the team as well.
Okay.
The Board of Police Commissioners was the only spot where we really had, I don't want to say battle, because that's not what it was, but we had more people interested in running than we had spots available. So we had 4 spots in the ballot that we're going to fill, of which we can win 3 seats. And we had 5 candidates who decided to run. So the incumbents were Bill Peck, Lucy McConaughey, and Dave Bitso. And then the 2 new candidates were John Duke and Kyle Kelly. Kyle Kelly is the chief of Seymour Ambulance.
Okay.
So Bill Peck, Dave Bitso, Kyle Kelly, and John Duke all received the endorsement. So their names will be placed on the ballot.
Okay, and explain to me like I'm an idiot. Yeah, who did not get endorsed?
Lucy McConaughey, unfortunately. Lucy has been a very active member of the Republican Party in Seymour for 40 plus years.
And she's been on that board for a very long time, I believe. At least the whole time the Valley Indies been in existence.
Yeah, she's a former member of the Board of Selectmen. I believe she's on the Board of Finance at one point. But yeah, longtime member of the Board of Police Commissioners. Lucy has been. So it's unfortunate that she didn't get the endorsement. But Lucy will still be an active member. Will certainly assist the new guys if they need it. So just thank Lucy for her years of service to the town.
Okay. Feel free. It's your show. It's your show, Mr. Miller.
Oh, I didn't realize you were just giving me free reign. The Board of Finance is next. Again, we have some new faces and some folks that are staying. Jim Cretella, who's been an active member of the board. Excuse me. He's going to be running for a spot, and then we have 2 new folks running for alternate positions. That's Paul Wedowitz, the former fire marshal in the town of Seymour, who just retired a few months ago. Yep. So Paul has thrown his hat in the ring for that, and Betty Ann Peck, who's also another newer member to the RTC. But again, two strong people that I think will be good alternates, people that can fill in on the Board of Finance and certainly help out. So, the Board of Finance is a board that's run very well over the last 6 or 7 years. Bill Zawicki, the current chairman, even though he's a Democrat, I give him high praises for what he does. Does a nice job, very smart man. So that board runs very well. We have some great other people on that board. So again, I'm looking forward to continue working with them to shape the finances of the town of Seymour. Planning and zoning, all 3 of our members are coming back. Walt Bertzel, Joe Nozelski, and Tom Lavranchek. So they all put their names forward and were unanimously endorsed by the caucus, which was great. The library board, same thing. 3 current members of the board are coming back: Tom Schutte, Joyce Kozlowski, and Debbie Wazakowski. So they all will be coming back.
Okay.
And then assessment appeals, Chris Dragonis, who's been a member for a while, and Wendy Rossi, who is extremely active in the RTC. Smart lady, I think will be a great addition to that board. So, all in all, I think we have a very good, well-rounded board. We have, some new faces mixed in, which is good. because obviously you don't want to have the same people all over and over again. That's certainly not a good thing, and it's good when you can mix some of these new people in. Paul Wedowitz, a Betty Ann, a Wendy Rossi, a Beth Nasteriak, because these are the folks that while they're starting out on maybe smaller boards or not as visible positions, they can kind of get experience. They get their feet wet. Those are the next folks that will step into full-time roles on the Board of Education, Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, and so on. So, we're trying to keep the town moving in the right direction like we have been, continuing to follow our strategic plan, but at the same time trying to bring some new folks in just to give them experience. So when the time does come, we can, hand it off to them and they can keep us going.
And is there any particular issue or something going on that motivated so many Republicans to throw their name into the ring for the Board of Police Commissioners? I haven't followed that group in years, so I don't know if there's something happening that is generating interest among Republicans.
I don't think so. I just think it's something that people wanted to get involved in. There's a new chief. There's some changes going on in the police department. I think people just wanted to be a part of that change, to kind of help shape the next, I guess, phase of the Seymour Police Department. I mean, we were fortunate to have Chief Metzler for 30 years. He did a great job. He grew the department. I really grew over my time with him to admire what he was able to accomplish and get done, and really thought of him as a friend and an advisor to me, because I obviously, not having any type of background in that area, it was good to learn from him. But I think now that there's a new chief, there's a new administration, and I think people are interested in getting involved and maybe changing the shape of some things. And
is the police commission? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh no, I'll say just looking for ways to continue growing and moving the police department forward.
Is that a board that traditionally gets a lot of interest? I mean, everybody loves police.
Yes and no. I mean, we've had some. The last couple of years, we've had some what I'll call stalwarts on that board. You have guys like Frank Conroy and Bob Koskolowski. Very strong figures, been involved in Seymour politics for many years.
And law enforcement.
And law enforcement too. I mean, both former state Frank with the state police and Bob with the Seymour police. So I think with Frank passing away, unfortunately, several months ago, that's kind of opened one of the spots. Bob is still there. Bob's not running, but he has 2 years left on his term. So I think with the 4 spots open, I think people look at it as kind of an opportunity to have a chance to maybe get elected to that board. So I think it's just kind of the circumstance of the election. I think it's more that than really the police department itself. And, we could have some new faces, like I said, John Duke and Kyle Kelly. And, I'm not sure who the Democrats will put up. But, those new folks will be mixed in, like I said, with some seasoned people. Bill Peck and Dave Bitso, who have been on the board for a while, will be in the mix as well. And, of course, with Bob being there, Bob's extremely experienced. He knows how to run meetings. He knows how to run, the board. I think that people can learn from Bob. So, again, we'll have that nice mix on that Board of Police Commissioners.
All right, so there you have it, the slate of candidates endorsed last night, July 18th, by the Seymour Town Republican Committee. And just a quick switching of the gears. I'm going to try to post this as soon as possible. So we're heading into this heat wave over the weekend. Has the town made any preparations for advising people on quote-unquote cooling centers and all that good stuff for the weekend?
I'm actually going to meet with Tom Abey, our emergency management director, later on today, just to come up with a final plan. For Saturday, we have the library open and available, so folks can go there if it's needed. They can certainly cool off, charge phones, whatever they need to do. But for Sunday, we're trying to determine what would be the best course of action. We've opened the cooling centers in the past on weekends, and unfortunately, we haven't got anyone that has come. So we're trying to weigh through the best way of, providing some type of service for folks who may need it, but at the same time without, overburdening our first responders. because if we open up a shelter or cooling station, we need to staff it.
To have people there, yeah. So you
Yeah, so
plan?
we're
Are you
just trying to
planning
be-
code reds or robocalls, anything like that happening? You think?
Yeah, I leave that decision to Tom.
Okay.
But I would expect that we would probably do something later this afternoon, just to give people an update, just to give them an idea. I did my podcast, or not podcast, but my Facebook Live that I do before the Board of Selectmen meeting. And I had talked about municipal buildings being open today and tomorrow. They're normally open, that residents at any time could certainly stop by and cool off.
Okay.
And that we would announce something later today for the rest of the weekend.
All right, Mr. Miller. I want to thank you again. 2 weeks in a row. You can't be too hard on me for never covering Seymour news now. I've got a free pass for the next 6 weeks, just so you know.
I'm almost out of things to say to you at this point, so we may need to have a little separation.
Just
for
bring up the bond
few
rating
weeks.
again. I'll say, hey, what's up with your bond rating? And then you'll go on for 45 minutes.
Well, oddly enough, we have a call with S&P on Tuesday next week.
Hey, Derby's doing that too. Is it? What do they do? Everybody at once? How does that work?
No, they Derby's a special situation because of what happened.
Uh-huh.
So S&P obviously wants to do a check-in on their plan and determine if they should keep their rating, potentially have it downgraded. But for us, it's just kind of a standard check-in. It's been probably 18 months since we spoke to them last. So they send questions in advance, so you have an understanding of kind of what they're looking at. And what it is you made commitments in our last bond rating presentation. We want to see where you are on those things.
Oh, interesting.
So it's just going to be kind of, stressing the things that we talked about, what was important, our fund balance growth, our OPEB trust, our strategic plan, how things like that are going. They just want to make sure that we didn't give them a song and dance and, now we're not doing anything. So it's just a check-in.
All right. Gotcha. Well, that's it. That's all I got. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, anytime, as you know. So I look forward to speaking with you in sometime in 2020. Hopefully, we can spend some time then.
Ha!
For hundreds of years we've brought you the news. Printed the info, we gave you the clues. Owners' profits were always sky high. Changing market now threatens our lives. Post-literation, critical reading, dumbed down nation, signs have been breeding. TV sucking ideas from our head. Public discourse just about dead. We'll ride the dinosaur. Yeah, ride the dinosaur. Our readers are in the opens each day. Online clickbait, a prurient way. It's free information here to stay. Not even hookers give it away. Advertising, metastasizing, newsroom shrinking, constant attrition. We'll ride the dinosaur. We'll ride the dinosaur. Dinosaur. Deadlines, bylines, pictures too. Editorial comment for a buck or two. Fire down the block, the murder next door. And now we wonder what it's all for. social media coming free to you. Funny pages, the mayor's wages, criminal seats, corruption schemes, ink state wretches asking tough questions. Well, ride the dinosaur. Yeah, ride the dinosaur. The presses are running all through the night. We're printing the truth with all of our might. We're platform agnostics, got that interweb too. Buy an ad, see what we can do. We still have subscribers, still have our fans. We're here every day, so give us a chance and we'll make an art stand. Just hold us in your hand, we'll ride the dinosaur. Yeah, ride the dinosaur.